What's up, everyone, and welcome to another Down on the Island special presentation of Down Once More podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and we are here to talk about week 4 of Love Island USA. I'm going to be recapping what happened this week. I'm not going to lie, as I was re-looking over my notes, what happened on Sunday night's episode seems so far away. So if I keep doing something like this, next week being the 4th will be a little off. May just do like weekly shorts, but nightly shorts. We'll see as I'm watching the episodes. And then we can get the true instant reactions. Because Sunday night, I was heated after that episode. Now, I'm a lot more calm about it. A little heated about tonight's episode, but not nearly as much. So this will probably be a little bit more of a succinct recap than last week was, when I had lots of thoughts and lots of feelings last week. So let's start off with Sunday, the first episode kicking off this week. This episode is when people got sent home at the end of it. But some of the key takeaways from the episode at the beginning, because I make notes as I'm going through it. The first thing I highlighted was Jeremiah and Iris, I felt like had a really good and healthy chat about feeling like they didn't really have a connection and just had more of a platonic vibe with each other. I think we are seeing more of Jeremiah's personality now that him and Huda aren't together. There's some like red flags with, everyone on the show has red flags, but it seems as if he's building a really real connection with Andrina. They do have a spark. Is it just a physical one? Maybe, but throughout the episode, we see them exploring that more. We see them later on in the episode. They kiss in front of other islanders, and the guys are just sitting there watching, and Ace is talking about, just seems like he's doing the same thing he did with Huda, with locking in right away and not exploring. But I don't know who else they wanted him to explore. He had tried with Iris, and they didn't really have a connection. Now, was it very convenient because she wanted to go with TJ and he wanted to go with Andrina? Absolutely. But hey, that's what it's for. And I don't know if you want them pulling their girls or who else, because Amaya doesn't really have a strong connection. And so, like, is that who you would want? I don't know. Dumb. But I did enjoy seeing his personality more. Now, after voting Sierra and Nick my favorite couple after Friday's episode, this episode was just a big, just like, boom, like bomb dropped. And I just felt like the more player vibes from Nick coming back. Like, I feel like they always were there, and always just seems like he knew what to say and saying the right thing and making the right moves, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing, but it can come across as not genuine. And so this episode, when Sierra's having a conversation with him and saying like, hey, during that challenge, the more and more it went on, it didn't feel great for me, and just kind of looking for some reassurance saying, yeah, we've said that we have freedom to explore, but it just like that doesn't feel right or natural to her. She's wanting him for him, and to kind of not straight up lock in, but hey, we don't need to be crazy with the exploring. And Nick just like wasn't reassuring at all, and wasn't being what she needed him to be in that moment. Just kind of reiterating, well, I'm not closed off, kind of make it seem like, well, that's your problem then. I don't know what to tell you. Disappointing, made a fool out of me from what I said last week and voting for him. But that then obviously is going to cause some of the doubts of saying like, well, am I feeling him more than he's feeling me, and getting some kind of concerns there, which is valid. Then you had the next day when TJ brought Sierra tea again, and Nick went up and he took it. Last one episode, it was kind of funny how he did it. That's when Sierra and Nick were vibing. They were in a good spot. This, after he failed to reassure her, it came across as petty and possessive and was gross. I didn't like that. It didn't seem jokey. It just seemed like, dude, calm down. You're being possessive. You're being weird, which is very odd, especially after you didn't reassure her and couldn't be there for her. The other comment I had, during Huda and Alondria were having a conversation, and Alondria telling Huda that she stresses her the fuck out was very real. I feel that. I feel like a lot of people feel that. But like, I get Huda's got to make moves. She's got to talk to people. But I, when Huda and TJ had a conversation in this episode and later on, and he's just saying, I'm not feeling a connection. She's like, well, can I ask why? And he's like, well, it just kind of feels platonic. She's like, well, I'm more used to like a man just being obsessed with me real fast, but I'm not mad. I'm just used to people being obsessed with me super fast. And then her saying like, I'm not the type of person that's going to be like, fuck you, so you don't like me, is a little bullshitty based on what we have seen. Now, were there things Jeremiah did that were maybe manipulative and it led to some of that? Absolutely. That was not a healthy relationship, was never going to be a healthy relationship from what we have seen. But the different vibes, I'm having a hard time with, like, trying not to give hate. I want to give people a second chance. I'm having a hard time with Huda. There's just something about it rubs me the wrong way with how she moves. Other things highlighted in this, TJ was having a conversation, I think it was with Iris, and he's like, I just really like building stuff. I made the comment to my wife as we were watching. I said, is he talking about Legos? What's he talking about? And then he like almost immediately said like Legos and stuff. I'm like, I knew it. This man isn't out there building tables. What are we talking about? Amaya this week just crushed it with the one-liners. Now, granted, some things were not actual words. We had opportunely later. We had gratitudely as well. This one, she said, I can't remember what conversation it was after Austin. I should have included that in my notes. But her just saying that her clitoris was having a heartbeat is just a wild thing to say. I want to call out, this was my notes on Sunday. I said Alondria's favorite fruit is pineapple and Taylor doesn't like pineapple. They're doomed. So the warning signs were there, people. I don't know why you were so shocked by what happened later in the week. This one, they had everyone gather around the fire pit, and this is where America's vote comes up. They had the bottom three are at risk of being dumped. The bottom three girls were Amaya, Iris, and Hannah. Now it was those three, and then Huda were the final four, and they had said they were in no particular order. But then Jeremiah got the text and had to say that Huda was safe, was kind of fucked. And then the bottom three boys were Jeremiah, Pepe, and Austin, which it's hard because the vote's not who do you think should be dumped, it's who's your favorite. So you don't know those margins between those bottom three. I called the bottom three. I thought maybe I thought Huda would be there instead of Hannah for the girls. For the guys, I wasn't sure. I didn't think Ace, Nick, Taylor would be in the bottom three, so I wasn't too surprised with that. But people talking about Huda needing a redemption arc, but then Jeremiah not getting the chance. I feel like what happened with Huda not being in the bottom three and Jeremiah being in the bottom three was more reassuring to Huda that Jeremiah was a problem and not her. Maybe he was. The way she responded to things, still toxic. Relationship, still toxic. You can still be verbally abusive, and you can be led into that. You can be hooked into that and triggered based on someone's actions, but being verbally abusive, yelling, screaming, name calling, still not a healthy way to process it. So that needed to end. And then they had the boys chose which boy to dump, and the girls chose which girl to dump. Girls went first, and they dumped Hannah. And you could tell by the look on the guys' faces that they were shocked. That was not who they expected in a million years, because it seemed like Hannah and Pepe had a really solid connection and were building it. Now, back in my head, because we saw none of the deliberations between either group. Back in my head is like, Huda pulled Pepe. That was a whole thing. Is Huda getting rid of Amaya so she can try to explore with Pepe? Based on later on in the week, doesn't necessarily seem like it. We didn't see any more chats between those two, but they chose Hannah. Hannah went. I was shocked. Like, the two that should have gone home, in my opinion, were Austin and Amaya, because they had both been expressing doubts about their couple with each other, wasn't very strong, have had a hard time finding anyone in there. I think they should have been the ones dumped from the ones we had to choose from in the bottom three, because then the boys chose Jeremiah. And Taylor gave the reasoning behind it and kind of said that, well, wondering what America sees, like with him being in the bottom three and people voting to do split Jeremiah and Huda up and put Jeremiah with Iris. The narrative in the villa between the boys, and hey, maybe there's things from producers, I don't know, is that Jeremiah is the problem, or they're filming 24/7 pretty much. There are so many things we don't see. Editors could have done a villain edit on Huda, and so we're only seeing one side of Jeremiah. But in my opinion, Jeremiah going home before Huda was wild, especially when he was building a connection with Andrina and the boys could see it. It gave vibes that maybe there was a little jealousy out of Nick, who wanted to explore Andrina, maybe a little bit out of Ace, who's always seemed to kind of had it out for Jeremiah. It seemed like a stupid decision to me that those were the two that they dumped, the ones who were exploring connections. And then Huda pulled Jeremiah. They had a conversation. She was crying and trying to like make up for what she did. Is that showing growth? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just over those two, so at least one of them's gone, so we can stop hearing that narrative constantly. Now leading to Monday's episode. First, I saw the runtime was almost an hour and a half long, and it was announced that Casa Amor is kicking off on Monday. The beginning of this episode made me so mad when they were giving the reasons, when they were talking to Amaya, because Amaya obviously upset about Hannah going home, like, I'm glad you saved me, but why? And kind of feeling guilty and feeling like the boys hated her because she stayed and Hannah didn't, and them saying, well, and Huda telling her, well, we love you. And then Sierra talking to them and saying that Hannah, she should feel lucky going home for being able to experience two good connections with two guys, and that they think that Iris and Amaya deserve to have that too. I felt like was such bullshit and pissed me off. Iris, absolutely. Iris hadn't had the opportunity really to explore and try new things. Amaya has been there and hasn't built a connection. Like, why would you dump someone that has it? This season, this is where my frustration lay this week, not with a specific Islander, but feeling like this season they're trying to do too much. It feels overproduced as hell, and it feels like we haven't been having like traditional recouplings of them just saying, I want to couple up with this person. There's been some weird twist involved, which you're trying to keep things fresh and new, whatever. But I'm not feeling it. It's kind of pissing me off, and it feels like people are voting. Like, at this point, the title of the episode was going to be Take Away Their Voting Rights, because the Islanders, the votes that they are doing are fucking wild, and the moves seem more like eliminating competition than eliminating people that don't have good connections, which I get. At the end of the day, you do win $100,000 at the end. I honestly, at this point, think just do away with the prize, because usually they have at the end where it's like, hey, one person has an envelope with $0, one has it with $100,000. That couple, the person with $100,000 gets to choose if they're going to split it or keep it themselves. No one has kept it themselves. They have always split it because the backlash isn't going to be worth it. And most of these people, they're getting brand deals after this. The ones from last season, they were getting the spinoff show, the Beyond the Villa show, that premieres in a couple weeks. So like, they're going to be making money once they leave, unless they're the worst. And so I don't know. I feel like the cash prize, having to go towards that, is kind of fucked. It doesn't do anything for me at this point. But that explanation of why they picked Hannah to go from the girls was stupid. And even like Ace was having a conversation with Shelly and not understanding, and just, they're not getting it either. But Sarah and Nick, we had the one episode where they were really good. Last Sunday's episode, they had the spat. They made it up this episode. It was great. They're back on the same page again. Nick makes a comment about not throwing away TJ's tea, and Sierra's like, well, I'm glad you weren't petty today. which was fair. They get a text that is time they're going to do a kissing competition. They have the boys stand, have their headphones on, playing music, blindfolded. Ariana comes in, drops cue cards, saying that the girls are going to Casa Amor this time. Their bags are packed, leave. They leave, and then they bring in the new girls. The new girls are Grayson, Clark, Vanna, Coco, and Jaden. And the boys are blindfolded and headphones on. Girls go through and do their kissing. TJ was rated everyone awful. Pepe, good for Pepe, gave everyone a 10. I respect it. I respect the move. But then at the end, one of the wild things, it was so apparent this one after the kissing, when it would cut to the girls then, they would just have so much makeup missing off of their faces from making out with these guys. Kind of just a wild premise in general. Like, if one person gets sick in this villa, everyone's fucked. But Ariana said that they're doing Casa differently this year. That everyone is going to be single, and it's like back on day one. You're doing a new recoupling, and you enter a new couple the entire time you're at Casa Amor. They've got one extra boy in the villa, and so one person will be single and vulnerable. And so the coupling, I hate, and this is going to be the title for the episode, I hate the changes to Casa Amor this year. I feel like it takes away so much. Even after tonight's episode, seeing how everything came together, it didn't hit the same way for me. Like, having everyone do a recoupling there, the point of Casa is exploring all your different connections. Like, usually, yeah, people are going to recouple and share a bed, and that happens just kind of naturally through the conversations. But making it kind of forced, making one person being vulnerable and at risk of being dumped, just didn't, I don't like it. I didn't like it. That's me. Maybe other people's did. So they had the guys stand there, and then girls go stand by who they want to couple up with. Coco and Clark both picked Taylor, but no girls chose TJ and Nick. So TJ, Ariana kind of called out his comments about the kissing, and he's like, well, no, I was honest. And Ariana's like, looks like they were honest right back. Great moment. Great roast of TJ. Claps to Ariana. Love that highlight. Clark ends up choosing to go with Nick because Taylor picked Coco. Then Ariana says, TJ, 24 hours locking a new connection or you're at risk of being dumped. A few highlights. Austin and Jaden having a conversation. He has a lip tattoo that says fuck. Of course, Austin has a lip tattoo that says fuck. Taylor and Coco seem to be having a good chat, and I felt like Taylor was more animated in his chats with Coco and then throughout the week in Clark than we've seen in most of his conversations with Melandria. They both seem kind of chill. So there, I saw rocky waters there as well. Cut over to Casa. New guys are Elan, Brian, Zach, JD, and Chris. I thought it was funny. Zach, who is British and a male model, is with a K, and white Zach is with a C. Now, they were calling him Zach K and Zach C. Like, usually you do that with their last name initial, not the last letter in Zach, but I thought that was kind of funny. They had a kissing challenge as well. Girls threw darts. It had a question, kiss two people who you have this. So they got to kiss two people of their choice. There was one guy, I think it was JD, no one chose to kiss, and I'm like, ooh, that's kind of awkward. But then the new guys got to choose who they want to couple up with. No guy stood on Amaya or Alondria's heart, and then Chris and Zach both stood with Shelly. Shelly chose Chris. Zach got to do second pick. He ended up choosing Alondria over Amaya. Amaya, single and vulnerable. Same thing with that. We had an awkward convo between TJ and Vanna. Vanna was coupled up with Ace, though, but just the whole thing just felt weird. I guess I should say who was coupled up with who, but you watched it, so you know. But it was Pepe and Grayson, Ace and Vanna, Austin and Jaden, Taylor and Coco, and Nick and Clark. In the villa and in Casa, it was JD picked Huda, Elan picked Sierra, Chris picked Shelly, Zach C and Iris, Brian and Andrina, and then Zach and Alondria. Alondria and Zach having an okay convo. You can tell Alondria is not really feeling it. She's just thinking of Taylor. I mean, we've learned at this point, Alondria has said it multiple times, she's someone who more moves slow and locks in. That's how she is. That's how she moves. Respect that. You know how you move. You know your boundaries. Go you. Amaya pulled Zach for a chat, though. She's single and vulnerable. You got to make moves, and she's probably reading the room a little bit, seeing there's not necessarily sparks there. They had a conversation, and he said he calls girls darling all the time. He has no problems with being called babe and things like that. Perfect couple. They both interrupt each other like none other. Amaya does that in all of her chats. Zach does too. They both just seem like they have so much energy and so much to say and so excited to get it out. So good combo with them. They kiss. Brian and Andrina having some good chats. Nick pulled Jaden for a chat in this episode. He was saying that's who he was most attracted to. She was his type, who he had his eyes on from the beginning of the girls in Casa. She mentions him being a nurse, and she has type 1 diabetes. She's got the Dexcom on her arm. Nick called it out by name too, and so they seem to have a little bit of chemistry there. And like, Love Island is about exploring connections. You got to do that. But that conversation kind of what closed out Monday nights. Then we get Tuesday nights. Opens up, we have kind of Sierra and Elan having a good chat. It's late, guys. It's been a long week. He's saying his type are Libras. This is maybe the millennial, the old cynic in me. But anytime people are having the conversations about who they're picking based on their star signs and why they're being compatible, it makes me feel very old and it makes me cringe. But Elon's having a very like substantive conversation with Sierra, very emotionally intelligent. Like they're talking about emotional intelligence, and it seemed like this conversation was checking a lot of Sierra's boxes. And she said she's having those kind of like deep, meaningful connections with Elon, and a lot of her conversations with Nick are more playful, fun, funny. And so it's something different. It's a different connection. JD and Huda have some chats. He knows she's a mom, so this is the first kind of call out that new people coming in have seen things. They know things. He said, yeah, I know. And Huda's like, I'm such a lover girl. I can't fake things. And JD calling out that he's surprised, that Huda really surprised him because she was very calm and took accountability for everything, which a sign that the editors are cutting shit out because I didn't really see that. But hey, go you. Andrina and Brian having good conversations. We don't see much of it. We see them have a good chat, share a kiss, and then show them snuggling up in bed. We don't see them much. Same with like Pepe and Grayson. We don't see Pepe and Grayson at all this episode. Alondria kind of tells Zach doesn't kiss outside of challenges, and then our talking head, she's talking about missing Taylor, and everything going on there. Nick's talking to Ace. Nick is one of those, a little bit of what Kendall was last season, about encouraging people to explore others and calling out these, seeing stronger connections with other things. Because Nick's telling Ace he thinks Clark's is more Taylor's vibe and speed than Alondria is, and kind of seeing it, you can see Taylor kind of perk up, and it seems like he's moving faster. Ace saying he's never seen Taylor smile this much. Austin and Jaden just having kind of some of the silly conversations that I miss in Love Island, talking about superpowers, talking about teleporting. They both say that, and then Austin's like, or the Human Torch. I just want to be like, flame on. Such one of the most impractical superpowers ever. Like, yeah, you get to fly. You're on fire all the time. Like, wild. But like those conversations are fun. I like those sprinkled in here. I'm glad we got to see some of it. For the most part, this was a lighter week, a more fun week. At the end of the recap, I will give all my rants on what I don't like about this Casa stuff. But Amaya and Zach have another chat, make out. Sierra seems like she's really struggling being away from Nick, worried about what's happening in the villa, talking about that. They did have a pop-up in this episode saying, hey, one of the keywords in Love Island is love, basically an anti-bullying thing, which, yeah, the bullying online, y'all are doing too much. You need to take a step back, calm the fuck down. I'm all for that. But these shows promote bullying. I mean, what are we talking about here? You're doing the edits, you're showing the things, you're allowing this toxic thing. Like, that's how you get views. But I agree. Love Island, like, it has a body count. There are people who have taken their lives based on bullying they have seen online after they've got out of the villa. So yeah, knock it the fuck off. Don't online bully people. Don't shame them. People were going after one of the new girls in the villa. Looks, I get it, may not be your thing. I do think we need to promote more natural beauty standards some more. But hey, whatever. You don't need to personally attack someone looking how they look and things like that. Don't be a bully. Don't be a dick, as Bowling for Soup says. So, they have the recoupling this night, but it's not a traditional recoupling, which was kind of weird. They are doing everything they can to avoid traditional recouplings this year. It's wild. But basically what they did, Amaya's single, she's standing up there. They say, boys, if any of you have a better connection with Amaya than your current couple, please stand up. Zach stood up, and Amaya's like, no, stop. I love Amaya, but she is very extra in these moments. Like, I get it, but we had it in Friday's episode too, that she was just doing more yelling at the moment. And it's like, read the room, know the moment. It's what the show is. Have your moment. Rein in sometimes, but hey, I shouldn't say rein it in. You feel your feelings, feel your emotions, but I felt bad for Zach in this moment because Landrea stood up there, and just with Landrea standing up there before they even said, hey, if anyone has a better connection, Huda's sobbing like, but what about Taylor? I walked in with your ass, and freaking out, crying. All the girls are crying because, I mean, Landrea, it's been a day one. It's been their friend for almost 4 weeks. And then no guys stood up. No guys felt like they had a better connection with Alondra, which wasn't surprising. She moves slower and she's pretty locked in with Taylor. So they say she has 30 minutes, pack, say her goodbyes. But they didn't do an actual recoupling. So if there was anyone else of the Casa boys that had a better connection with the girls, they thought, or that the girls were feeling those boys better, they couldn't choose anyone else. It was only the single ones that were really getting recoupled, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, I guess it could have shuffled if someone else had Alondria, which we saw a little bit more in the Villas recoupling, which I'll mention in a second. But it was still kind of weird. Zach gave a speech after why he chose it, kind of trying to defend himself. I get it wasn't the time. I 100% also get from his space with how upset the girls were acting, trying to, like, being worried about being viewed like a villain. And he said that and got some reassurance, but it's just a lot going on. So at the end of this, people were getting upset because of Laundry, because Zach asked, hey, can I pull you for a chat before you leave? Can I talk to you for a second? And she's like, no, you can save your words. I get it came across kind of rude, I felt like, but her emotions are very high in this moment. She's trying to keep it together. Laundry is someone who doesn't necessarily wear her heart on her sleeve. She is very strong. And so she has these 30 minutes with her girls. They're all breaking down. She's trying to stay strong. And I get that. She's like, hey, I have this time with them. You don't need to justify it to me. I get it. And so I don't think she necessarily did anything wrong. Could she have chosen better words? Sure. Did she need to? No, she doesn't owe Zach anything. It's fine. She leaves, and then when she's out there, you can see she's about to cry, break down. She's like, I've been single for 5 years. I thought I was getting it right and really wanted to find love. We cut to the villa. TJ's single. Then Vanna says she has a stronger connection with him than she did in her couple with Ace. Ace is standing. Coco says she has a better connection with him than she did with Taylor. Taylor's standing. Clark says she has a better connection with him. They're recoupled. Nick stands up. You're wondering if Jane's going to stand for him. She doesn't. Nick's out of there. They have him pack. Everyone's saying their goodbyes. Taylor and Ace are fucking breaking down. They're upset. They're shocked. He was like those were the three amigos, the three boys. And Nick's leaving, walking out. They have music. They show a car coming down. And then it's super tinted windows. Door opens. It's Alondria saying, Nick, come on, hurry, get in. And then him running, jumping in the car. People online shipping Nick and Alondria, thrilled out the wazoo. Me, pissed off. I felt like this was stupid. I felt like it seemed insanely cheesy and overproduced. It felt dumb. I think a dumping during the Casa time is stupid anyways. It just seems like they're trying to do too much this season. They're trying to make it, hey, all these twists that are keeping you there. It's not maybe for some people it is. I don't watch it for the twists. I want the drama. I do like seeing the connection some, but I want for the drama. I don't need the weird twists that you need to do. We don't need to do too much with that. And it was kind of fucked up. I get it, but kind of fucked up. They did it before the Wednesday night break when there's no episode. But Nick and Alondria shippers on the internet, off the charts. So happy. And brings us to Thursday's episode, last night's episode. And this one opened up with just Ace and Taylor kind of talking about being upset, Nick leaving. I did laugh. I had to make note of it. They're talking like, what about Sierra, bro? And Taylor's like, I know she finna boo-hoo. I thought that was funny. Just a funny way to put it. It tickled me. I liked it. Ace was seeming pissed that Jaden didn't stand up. He's like, I can't believe Jaden didn't even stand up for him. Like, you know what could have avoided that? If you sent Austin home instead of Jeremiah Sunday night. If Austin wasn't there, I almost guarantee she would have had a better connection with Nick than Jeremiah, and that's what would have happened there. I mean, you don't know it, but I like blaming them for sending Jeremiah home, so we're going to go with that. And then we're over in Casa. Maya's talking to Zach and kind of makes such a big deal about how important Alondria was to everyone. And it almost came across like she was mad at Zach for choosing her. And then he then got kind of defensive and kind of just trying to justify it. I didn't necessarily love that. I felt like it was just kind of a miscommunication on both sides. He didn't give her what she needed there. She didn't realize how it could make him uncomfortable. Hey, this is Love Island. It's not Healthy Therapy Communication Island. Obviously, no one would watch if it was. Ian announces then Nick and Alondria are off to go on a date, and Jeremiah is the waiter, is what he said, which another sign that just shows they're very plugged into social media and the online and the fan voice this year, which I personally do not think is a good thing. I don't. This felt very contrived due to some of the shipping and everything going on and them feeling like they have to do too much. I don't like it. We're overcomplicating it. Why? Now, Jeremiah obviously wasn't the waiter, but Alondria and Nick go have dinner. Alondria kind of giving Nick the breakdown of things that are going on in Casa. Mentions Shelly and Chris, that is a 6'7" guy. Said that Sierra's having good connection with Elan and thinks they could be a power couple. My radar's up and I have a hard time enjoying things. This entire conversation between the two of them felt so forced and produced and awkward. Like even the way they were explaining things didn't seem natural how either of these people would talk, because then Nick's like, well, this is everything that's going on there. It also pissed me off because I'll get to it in a minute. Sorry, I'm struggling. It cuts to Taylor and Clark having a conversation. Then Alondria is telling Nick, like, well, if Taylor leaves me because he's got a more physical connection, because Nick says, like, they've shown like a faster connection, 24 hours. It's moving quickly. It seems like it's good. And Alondria's kind of pissed if he moves on because of a more physical connection. She's going to be glad to be gone and doesn't want him, basically, is what she was saying. Which I get. Like, it should be the core, the strength, and the relationship first. And then you can get in the physical, intimate. However, sometimes you just have better chemistry with one person. It doesn't negate the feelings you have for someone else. But sometimes, especially when it's you have to move and decide quick, you're going to have that chemistry piece. Nick and Alondria get a text saying they can either stay single and leave the island or couple up together and return to the villa. They decide to couple up. Nick's like, I've always wanted to get to know you. Alondria says, I wondered, you're always picking and kissing me in challenges. And so hints of a spark, maybe. Nick and Alondra fans, so happy this episode, all to come crashing down on Friday night's episode. But I wasn't feeling it. The entire episode, we're getting in Alondra's talking heads. It seems like she's like, yeah, I'm giving it a try to test it, but it was all still about Taylor and the feelings for Taylor. They have Nick and Alondra sneak in once everyone's in bed, and then in the morning they're like, good morning, Islanders. They do that. Everyone's excited to see Nick. Taylor done fucked up, and he went right by Alondra and hugged Nick first and bypassed Alondra. That should show, like, that should have been a red flag to Alondra there too, that, hey, maybe he really isn't feeling me as much as I thought. So I thought this whole thing just kind of fucks Taylor and takes away some of the point of Casa to me. The point of Casa, yes, it's drama, absolutely. But it's to explore new connections and test your connection and your couple without the other person there. See how you behave, and that's what sets up all the drama coming, like videos sent to the Islanders and Casa of what's going on, the Islanders and the Villa of what's going on in Casa, things like that, and seeing reactions to it, and then movie night, seeing how things actually played out. Now you don't have that. Now you've got Alondra, who's there to see everything and can tell everything to the girls. Taylor now has to kind of go back and forth and balance both of these relationships. And it's awkward. It's awkward. The whole thing, because that's the other thing. Ariana did say at the beginning, she's like, it's different this year with Casa 2. Everyone's coming back to the villa at the end, which I fucking hate. Like, the way they did it was okay. I still prefer the standard Casa move, where it's, if you're in the villa, you have to choose if you're going to couple up with one of the new people or not. If you do, you're with that couple. If you don't, those people are single and they're going to go. And then it has the people from Casa come in, and you get that. Who are they going to walk in? Are they going to walk in with someone or single? And you get some great moments from that. And that's all taken away. And we didn't have a single like video package sent to someone in the villa or to Casa of what's going on in the other place. And that usually is good for some drama. But I think part of it's because they're like, we don't have that strong of couples this season. So we're not going to get those super strong reactions. Like Huda's the one who probably would have had one, and where she's not coupled up with anyone, that's not going to happen. Amaya maybe would have, but her and Austin don't have chemistry. So there's not the big crash out drama. We're not going to have the Kaylor freaking out over Aaron things this season with this group of people. So I don't know. Another observation, this, maybe I'm old, but everyone's saying Helly this season. Do I not know that because I'm old, or is it because I'm white, or what? I don't, is Helly a thing? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Am I just out of touch? I don't know. Nick tells the boys, he's like, I told Alondra everything that's gone on here. So, and Taylor's like, I'm a dead man. Thought kind of funny. Nick having a conversation with Alondra, just telling her how attractive he thinks she is, and he wants to show her his mature side and wants to truly explore the connection. Alondra is seeming like she's maybe open to it, but in her talking head, she's like, it's hard because Taylor's Nick's best friend, Sierra's my girl. I don't know. My note from at this point in the episode, it just seems so forced, and like the producers are trying to force stuff and do too much to try to make connections happen, and listening to that online fan base. Other things here, Taylor just talking about how weird of a situation it is for him and how hard, and he doesn't know what he wants to do. Taylor telling Alondra, he's like, I want to explore and keep going with both of you. I'm just going to have conversations, be truthful with both of you. He said, I'm just going to have to ping pong back and forth. Is a wild thing to say. I get what you're saying, but that is a wild move to say to, not to Clark, to the person you were coupled up with for almost 4 weeks. Again, I had the vibe. I really like Taylor and I really like Alondra. I like them together for their personalities, but I definitely was getting more, and I said on last week's episode, more like friendship vibes than romantic vibes from them. I don't see the romantic spark and chemistry in the edit we are seeing. So, Alondra is telling the girls, hey, explore everybody. If you put all your eggs in one basket, you're going home. I felt like that was real. Good advice. It's awkward for these girls, too, with Alondra being here, because that kind of breaks up. Right now, they have like that villa or the Casa Amor time vibe where they're all together and they have that bond. Now they have one of the OGs there kind of keeping an eye on things, and it's awkward, especially for Clark, who's trying to explore this connection with Taylor and have her chance, and Alondra is there the whole time, and now she has competition. It's rough. I feel for him. I don't know. Even after seeing how everything played out, I'm not a fan of the change. Now it's time to finally do some Casa Amor time shit, and we do the raunchy races, which is when everyone's around the fire pit at each place at the same time. They're given a challenge to do, and then whoever does it best gets a point. And then at the end, there's a winner. If it's Casa or Villa, if it's Casa, then they go to the balcony and yell, Casa, Casa. It's always a thing. It's always a thing. I feel like Casa almost always wins. But some of these questions were fucking wild. One, like, Taylor had to make out with Clark for one of them. Laundria, you could tell she was, like, upset and having a hard time watching it. And actually, like, she grabbed Nick's hand to cover her eyes and didn't want to see it. Again, I was not seeing what everyone online was seeing. Like, oh, see, they need to be together. She was still too into Taylor. It wasn't gonna happen. But some of these questions, one was, any girl who lives in North Carolina kiss a boy who lives in California. What? What are these random specific ass fucking questions? Like, can you be more transparent who you're trying to make kiss who in this moment? There's a personal preference. Maybe some people liked it. Huda is very aggressive in these kissing challenges, and when she goes in for a kiss, goes like this. All tongue, leading with all tongue. I don't know. Maybe I'm not adventurous. I have been received multiple compliments on my kid. I have references, and I've never led with that much tongue. Leading with that much tongue is a wild move, and you could tell JD was not really feeling it, as we saw in Friday's episode in a very, very awkward conversation. But ultimately, Casa won. At the end of the final thing, when it's like everyone make out who you're coupled with, the villa is doing a weird shit where they are building towers, getting on each other's shoulders and making out, which I feel like was maybe things edited together just to include those moments, but it was wild, and Casa won. Sierra went for it with her kiss with Elon. It was hot. I was shocked that Elon was able to get up. Good for him, although we didn't see him get up, so maybe not. But again, I felt like Alondra being there kind of defeats the purpose. Clark and Taylor are talking on the pier, having a conversation. They were kissing. Their kisses seem awkward. I don't know if it's a Taylor thing, but they're all just like little pecks. And then, with how it was edited, while Taylor and Clark are having a conversation on the beach, Taylor had given her his flannel to sit on. Then she's like, ooh, I should have worn it instead of sit on it, puts it on. I feel like it's a little bit of a move to try to mark her territory a little bit, which I respect. It's a move. But meanwhile, Nick and Alondra are up in soul ties having a conversation. And Sierra, how they edited this, it's the three couples that are now in these weird triangles having these conversations. So Taylor and Clark on the pier, Sierra and Elon in the Casa, and then Nick and Alondra in soul ties. And Nick is telling Alondra he kind of wants to see if there's anything outside of the challenges between the two of them. She's like, well, there's only one way to find out. They make out. It was a hot makeout. It was passionate. Seemed like there was some chemistry there, especially Nick's reaction after it, like a little like, whoo, Whew. Also, he was wearing pants and shoes that Taylor wore earlier in the season this night. So that was interesting. But it was brutal for them to edit it and cut it with Sierra and Elon having a conversation. Elon kind of wanting to try more and see if there's more connection and kiss outside of the challenge. And her shutting him down, saying that she wants to wait because in her head, she doesn't know where it's at. And she's trying to explore without cuddling or kissing outside of challenges. And so that then cut with Olandria, her best friends making out with Nick. Wild. And that's where the episode ended on Thursday, which brings us to tonight. So after the episode last night, everyone online, it's like, I fucking knew it. Nick and Olandria, they're the shit. We knew what we were talking about. The producers are listening. We put it together, those sparks. Nick's never looked at Sierra like that. Olandria has never acted like that with Taylor. They're feeling it. They're going to be a power couple. They're winning this whole thing. Well, guess what? Tonight's episode fucked all that up. So I'm jumping around a little bit because it was in the middle, but Nick and Olandria having a conversation and Nick being like, it's kind of weird because I wanted to discover if there was something here, and if there was a romantic connection, but the entire time last night, like it was fun, but the entire time my mind was wandering. I was thinking about Taylor and Sierra and Olandria. It's like, oh my God, me too. It was fun, but romantically, it's just not there between the two of us. And they both kind of agreed. Just a friends vibe. She's more into Taylor. He's more into Sierra, and locking in on that. And so Nick Olandria stuff died. I think it's dead. We'll see. We'll talk at the end when we get to what happened. But we had a really awkward conversation between Huda and JD after the challenge where it felt like both of them, it was awful. Huda's telling JD, like, yeah, I had to carry all your slack during the challenges. I had to help you. And then he, like, a little defensive, just being like, yeah, you were just doing too much with that and going in on her. And, like, meanwhile, smiling the whole time, she was not feeling it at all. They are obviously not meant to be. It was so awkward, so cringy. I felt like they both did shit wrong in that. Like, nothing was accomplished in that conversation, but besides seeing no chemistry, they are not a good match. Then another Amaya relatable moment in here was she was eating chips. She's just like, after everything's gone down, they're sitting there. She's like, I don't know what the fuck they put in these potato chips, but I ate the whole jar. That's relatable. I have been there. Right now, Trader Joe's has Irish garlic butter potato chips, and they are the best potato chips I have ever had in my life. You need to get them. There's a free plug for those chips there. But Andrina and Brian, we didn't see chat at all. We saw a couple kisses shared between them, but we don't see them chat at all this episode, which I feel like does them a little bit disservice. Hopefully now that everyone's back in the villa, we'll see it a little bit more. And we saw a couple convos with Pepe and Grayson, so seeing a little bit more of that connection. Austin was talking to Jaden, and they had another conversation, and her diabetes got brought up. He's like, how'd you find out? She's like, well, I went for a sport physical. And he's like, that's crazy. He's like, well, what happens with things? She's like, well, I could pass out. And he's like, well, how often does that happen? How often you pass out? She's like, well, like less than 5 times. And he's just like, oh, really? I feel like I pass out all the time. I'm just like, I feel like this just sound bad. Like there's not much going on there. He has these like superficial conversations. They're either about sex or just weird random shit. And sometimes it's entertaining. And him always like shamelessly, like kind of hitting on Ariana, is always kind of funny. Just like a little puppy that's so excited. But Huda has a conversation with Chris in the secret room saying that she kind of vibes with him, wanted to have a chat with him, but he seemed like he was so interested in Shelly, so she didn't. He said, yeah, I kind of like vibe with you a little bit, like you're feeling, but I'm in a weird position right now because of where he's at with Shelly. Okay. Olandria's having a conversation with Taylor saying it is so weird seeing how touchy-feely him and Clark were right off the bat when it took them longer to get there, and he's like that right away. Oh, sorry, that is in a conversation not with Taylor but with Clark, because Clark pulls Olandria for a chat. and then constantly said, but like, this is, Alondra is saying, this is really going to test our relationship, and we're having this test right now. It's going to be our hardest test yet. And Clark said in Talking Head, kind of hard to just constantly be referred to as a test. Absolutely. And that's what I think. Absolutely. This new formula fucks a certain people. And I get you're trying to get more drama, but it really sucks for Clark that then she had to worry about this the last day and a half, or just day, the last day that they're in this experiment for that. I thought that sucked. TJ and Vanna had another awkward conversation where it just doesn't seem like he's vibing with her at all and not feeling it. And he says in the Talking Head how he's just thinking about Iris. Text comes in, hey, you're all returning to the villa tonight and there will be a recoupling. Amaya starts crying. She says in the Talking Head it's because she's having to choose between Zach and JD, which we hadn't seen any conversations between her and JD. Really, but JD has been bringing her breakfast in the morning. Maya, another good moment from here. She said she's a sensitive gangster, you know. I'm like, nice. Way to go, Amaya. Good for you. Sierra says she's torn, but it 100% seems like she's leaning towards Nick. Taylor says he's torn. He has no clue what he's going to do. Ariana comes in. It was weird. They did another weird thing this time. They had the Casa couples come in first and sit down at the fire pit. And then Ariana comes in, says, well, just like happened with you, a boy was dumped from the villa as well, just like Alondra left there. Huda looked shocked. I don't know what she thought happened, that maybe the boys were excluded or what, but hey. And then she says that it was so, and so they had the couples from the villa walk up. It was so mean. And I was so mad for Sierra in this moment when they're waiting for everyone. The final couple is Taylor and Clark. And then Sierra just crying and like so upset that Nick's not there. And how it was edited seemed like it was so fucking long because people were going and comforting her and making it seem like it was so... I felt so bad for Sierra. It was so fucking fucked up and manipulative for them to wait and drag it out and being like, oh wait, there is one more couple. Awful. And then all the girls so excited that Alondra is back. Sierra runs to Nick. They kiss, make out. This point, Elon knows he's fucking cooked. I also hate this. The reason they did this, it puts Taylor in such a fucking lose-lose position. Because I do feel like he had a better spark with Clark. Rhymed. But now that the girls thought they lost Alondra, kind of came to terms with that. And then now she's back. And then if he chooses Clark, he's 100% the villain. These girls are going to hate him. It's fucking brutal. And I felt bad for Taylor in this. But the recoupling, I feel like they also made overly complicated, way more than it needed to. Everyone was standing in a heart around these circles, looking like a bullseye. And what happened, you all wrote down the name of who you wanted to couple up with. Ariana called person one at a time, stand in the middle, and then told people if you wrote this person down as your match, who you wanted, come stand next to them. If it's a match, you're a couple. If you wrote them, it's not a match, then you're single and vulnerable. I felt like overly convoluted. So first was Austin. He had Jaden came up. No one else had their match. New couple. Makes sense. They had better chemistry. Him and Amaya weren't vibing. Good for them. Next, they had Amaya come up. Both JD and Zach wrote her down. But Amaya wrote Zach. So JD had been in a couple with Huda. Amaya wrote Zach. And JD was now vulnerable. Pepe and Grayson matched, all good there. Andrina and Brian, all good there. TJ was in the middle. Both Iris and Vanna wrote him and went up there. Zach. So then Ariana, how it was edited, there were only a few times it showed. So TJ was in the middle. Iris and Vanna wrote him. They went up there. And then Ariana was like, well, didn't anyone write Iris or Vanna? And if they did, which in this case Zach did, so then he went up and stood there too, and he had to go and stand there just for her to say, okay, she obviously doesn't have you, you're single and vulnerable, leave. But TJ wrote Iris, So they're now a couple officially. Vanna's vulnerable. Ace in the middle. Coco and Shelly both wrote him. And when Ariana asked, did anyone else write Coco or Shelly? No one came up. When Chris didn't go forward in that moment, that is when I started smelling something that stunk. Something that seemed fishy and stunk to high hell, because we saw a conversation before they went back where Huda's talking to Shelly. She's like, hey, I did pull Chris for a chat, and it was good and things like that. I need to figure out. And Shelly at first like, well, I'm glad you told me. You know what? Actually, that's good. And I'm like, head in my head, I'm like, I feel like what they're going to do then, because Huda's not feeling JD, so she doesn't have another couple. They're going to talk. Her and Chris will couple, and then Shelly can go back with Ace, but then Chris will still be there for her to continue to explore. Seemed fishy as hell, and I was right, because Ace wrote Shelly. They're a couple. Coco's vulnerable. Huda was up next, and Chris wrote her, so they were matched. Every talking head, every time we saw Chris talking to the boys, he was talking about feeling Shelly more. Him and Huda had the one conversation. After making out, he said that it was kind of fire and he felt something there. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibilities, but Huda's saying she chose him because this way she feels like he has the right to explore. She wants to explore their connection, and she wants him to explore with her and other people. And she like kind of emphasized it and said that she wants to too. It seemed like they had coordinated it ahead of time. You could see it seemed like Ace wasn't all too pleased about that, but it stunk to me. I think they had that game plan going into the villa because they knew there was going to be a recoupling. Then Sierra was in the middle. Both Nick and Elan put her. She wrote, Nick, they're a couple. Good for them. Apologies for the occasional yawns. It has been a long-ass week, and it's 10:30 at night. I'm recording it after tonight's episode. 10:30, me yawning at 10:30 makes me seem old. I am an old soul at heart. But finally was Taylor in the middle. Alondra and Clark both wrote him. They have Taylor do the reveal, and he put down Clark. Even though I felt like their connection was stronger, with everyone being back there, I thought for sure he was going to do Alondra to avoid the hate from all the girls. Amaya starts spiraling. Huda starts making a comment about Taylor. Why are you so easy? Zach did try to calm Amaya down in a respectful way and comfort her when she started freaking out. So good for him on that. But Taylor just really got fucked by the new Casa Amor format. He really did, because then he got fucked even further because Ariana's like, okay, single islanders, come to the middle. And then Ariana says one boy and one girl will be staying. The villa will be choosing the girl to save, and Casa, the people who are in Casa, choose the boy to save. They're having the conversations. We got to see these conversations. Nick saying he was voting Alondra, and the reason being, he said, well, what if Taylor wants to change his mind in a few days, was fucked and super disrespectful to Clark. I felt so bad for her in that moment when they're all having the conversation. She's like, can I just not vote? It was so awkward. And it seems like Nick's like, well, maybe Taylor will really want Alondra instead, and so we'll pick that. Or maybe Nick, it wasn't mutual and he does still have feelings for Alondra, so he's hoping this maybe pushed her to the fuck Taylor. Now I can go with Nick. I don't think so. Based on him and Sierra, I don't think it would go there. Now that Sierra's there, I don't think Alondra would go there. But Casa chose Elan to save. Made sense. We didn't see much screen time from JD or any other potential connections really from him or Zach C. So that made sense. I don't think that it'll be a triangle between Elan, Sierra, and Nick. I do think she has a stronger connection with Nick. Clearly made her choice. But now Elan can move and explore other connections and new people that come in as well. And the villa chose Alondra to save because they were talking because Grayson was pushing for Coco. Ace seemed like he was pushing for Coco at a bit. Ultimately, Alondra is who is saved. part of me feels like this was the safe play of, hey, the other girls are going to fucking hate us if we get rid of Alondria. But now Clark is in such a fucking hostile environment in general. These girls seemed pissed when Taylor picked Clark. I don't think that just by Alondria being there, that's going to change things. I don't think Alondria will start being like a bitch or super toxic to it. It's a really fucking awkward situation. They really fucked Taylor over here with this whole format and then the vote. So we'll see. JD, Zach, C, Vanna, and Clark and Coco were all dumped from the island, and that's where the episode left off. So we'll see what happens, but wasn't feeling it, didn't love it. Stupid. I hated the format of Casa this year, and we'll see. Maybe movie night comes up, but like there's no juicy things to spill. Like movie night will have to be things that are just happening regularly in the villa, whether it's a compilation of Huda's lies, or things like that. It'll probably be Nick saying the thing about Taylor having a better connection with any of these girls they had with Alondria. It'll be a more breakup friendships movie night. And I don't know. I didn't like the new Casa format at all. It took away a lot of the drama and fun and excitement for me. And in general, this week was just like tiring for me. The last couple of this show, like I'm still going to watch, I'm still enjoying it, but I feel like we've gotten away from the fun and it seemed more overproduced and less natural as a reality show with producers can be. I don't know. I think they just need to take a step back, stop being so involved in everything, just let shit play out, and let's get an actual recoupling. Let's do some more games. Let's have some challenges. Let's have a good time. That's where I'm at. Okay, that's going to do it for this week's recap. Next week, 4th of July, it'll be a little weird. Next pod episode, so it drops on Wednesday. So July 2nd will be what's coming to streaming in theaters in July. So tune into that if you're looking for something else to watch, if you need a break from what's going on in Love Island or just fill your other time. Check out that episode. Follow, subscribe, like, share. Tell us in the comments. Tell me what you thought of the new Casa format, if you've been watching before, or if this was your first time. What did you think of it? What would you change? What would you improve? Let us know in the comments. Like, follow, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Don't forget to go down once more.